We on, guy. Hold up.
What up, y'all? You know who it is. Your boy Jaded Kiss, you know what I mean? Right now with Chris Strong. Shout out to Camden, New Jersey, all my niggas out there. Let's get right into it. Yeah!
BTBTV. Chris Strong, man. Yo, born, let's get him, man. Yeah, right now. Never off plan. Used to get busy with them guns in my hand. 4 or 5 or a black 9 with a grand in my pocket and beef cool as a fan. BTBTV, we are not playing. Y'all just talk, we back it up and down. Sideways, F what y'all saying. We Kyrie and Kanye. This a boss talk, so you clowns should just fly away. Yeah. Hop on the bridge, throw your frame off the highway. This not a game, this is business, this my way. Real talk, your opinion is nothing to us. We gon' stay on chill, long as y'all don't violate. But it's not fair. We could be cool or your worst nightmare. We the best, I swear. And you could be my friend or enemy, I don't care. And you better beware. Cause we coming for the whole pie and we don't share. No, it just ain't fair. But we the best, I swear. We the best, I stay up in the mix. A project politics.
Yeah, my in the building.
Name well known from the hood to the sticks. 100 on the highway, flying so fast, burn the gears when I shift. Some people kick dirt on your name, what shoes you gave them. Broke your back for them and they got the nerve to play you. Kick raps door off, pushed and shoved my way through. Bum rush the kitchen, put my floor up on the menu. The jealousy be hitting up in jokes. That's why I stay serious like David Banner turned in the Hulk in pure form like the Pope. Haters get infrared beams with the scope, so run and get ghosts. We fight good, boxed in like Floyd on the roast. I'm the great black hope. Man, we the team and they know it coast to coast and it just ain't fair. We could be cool or your worst nightmare.
All right, y'all. Peace to the 5% nation of guys and nerfs. Salaam alaikum, alhamdulillah, rahmatullah to all the true Muslim brothers and sisters out there. This is the King of New Jersey. This is BTBTV, Mr. Eastwick, born divine, almighty Elijah, host. I got the God, born Shabu, be Allah, here with me today. We're gonna do some New York prison talk. We're gonna talk about Terror Squad, Cap Gun, Pistol Pete, lies as well as his daddy Fat Joe. We don't believe you. You need more people. That's what we on today, man. Yo, so God, tell me what you think about the situation. I'm gonna play the video that you sent me earlier too, so that people can understand. But tell me what your feelings on the situation, Lord.
Peace, everybody. This is Shabu Bialog, God in them streets, Cypress Hill Projects, official 18 for life. It's like last night, you know, a lot of times I don't like mentioning these other podcasters or shows, but I got the video that I sent you that Fruquan did from watching Zip with the Drip show. And he was saying whether it was lying or whether it was cat. Now, nowadays, it's a distinction between the both, but back in the days, you either lied or whatever. But nowadays, they say, well, you capping. And I guess they say that because that means that some part of your story could be correct, but then the other part is totally exaggerated. So that's what we here to speak on today, you know, from that video that you're going to play by the individual that was actually there when everything took place. And then everybody in the comment section, y'all decide whether it was total exaggeration from Pistol Pete or whether it was cap. And
hold on one second, pause on, God. This is my eye up here, Pebbles. Wahida, check this out. We're talking about not that Pistol Pete, not Sex Money Murder Pistol Pete. We talking about Pistol Pete down with Terror Squad, Puerto Rican Pistol Pete, not Black Pistol Pete.
The Pistol Pete before Black Pistol Pete.
The Pistol Pete before Black Pistol Pete. So, Lord, go ahead, God. Just let everybody know what we're talking about.
Okay. So, like I said, we got a lot of people up here that's talking about it, and a lot of these individuals ain't never been on the island or up north, and I'm just talking about New York because, I done did bids in various states. But a lot of times, people can exaggerate the situation only because they want to make themselves, I really don't understand why he did it, because I'm not going to take nothing away from the brother. From the things that I know, heard, I never was in the buildings with him or up north with him, so I can't say it from that aspect. But real always recognize real, and the individuals that I've been around, when they spoke on him, they usually spoke highly of him for his gangster. So I'm not going to say that the man is a punk or, anything other than that, because he might have exaggerated the story to some degree.
All right, y'all. So while we talk about that, I'm gonna let y'all hear the story real quick. So this is Big Fruit. It's from Big Fruit channel, man. Shout out to Big Fruit. This fair use, man. Big Fruit, bring them out. Hold on one second, y'all. I'm about to share this with y'all.
Fruit from, if I'm not mistaken, he from LG, Lafayette Gardens. Salute to him. Wise, all the guards that was down there on that end doing their thing back in the day.
Yeah, salute to them. That's for sure. Peace to the gods.
Salute. Top of the morning. Welcome
Shout
to
out
the
to
Big
Big
Fruit
Fruit.
Podcast. I am your host, Big Fruit, the Michael Jordan of recording, also known as the Voice of the Streets, but better known as the Glue.
Struggling with complicated content and editing software? I was too. Riverside really simplified things.
Because I like to keep things together and keep them in a proper perspective. How y'all doing out there on this early Wednesday morning? It is Hump Day Wednesday, and if you are in your car on your way to work listening to Big Fruit, you drive safe. Or if you're in your car on your way home from work listening to Big Fruit, you be safe. If you at the crib watching Big Fruit on the big screen, you already know what it is. Let's ball out. First and foremost, when you enter the building, you smash the like button, show appreciation for the content that Big Fruit produce, and let's get the Big Fruit Podcast where he need to be. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to all the OGs, all the OGs that came out the woodworks, that's been in my DMs, that's been letting me know that they appreciate my hard work and my dedication to my YouTube channel. Also, they appreciate the fact that I carry the flag and the torch for my borough, Brooklyn. Stand up, y'all know what it is. Now let's move along. Y'all see the title, Big Fruit, brung them out, the reaction to my video on the other Pistol Pete. This shit done grew legs, man. This shit done grew legs. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all the YouTube channels that's addressing this situation. Because I'm telling you, man, Pistol Pete done started some real nonsense with his interview. You know what I'm saying? He went kind of hard with his exaggeration. You know what I'm saying? And everybody feel like, you know what I'm saying, they was racially motivated. And right now, that's not a good look. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to the other Pistol Pete, and that interview about the riot in Cashapp back in the summer of 1990, I must inform the people that in the year 1990, in the New York State Department of Corrections, the two adolescent facilities were Cashapp and Elmira. Either you bounce from Cashapp to Elmira or Elmira to Cashapp. That's just what it was. Before you hit the big boys, Comstock, Clinton, Attica, you know what I'm saying? They gave you a shot to be an adolescent. But you know how the adolescents do, man. Niggas is buck wild. So everybody that came through the 4 bill of 88, 89, they were the adolescents up north. 89, 90, and a little bit of 91. So they was the dudes in and out of Cashapp and Elmira. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to the race riot in 1990, it actually occurred. I ain't gonna say started, but it actually occurred in Elmira before Clinton. Yeah, I'm giving y'all some history, man. I'm telling you, man, they've been in the DMs, they've been on my phone, they're giving it to me because I wasn't there, bro. But I'm gonna give you the facts. And like I said, tomorrow, Thursday, we will have Briz in the building to elaborate on some of those things as well. But from my understanding,
89, 90, you know what I'm saying? Brooklyn boys, or should I say the blacks, they was running wild in Elmira first. You know what I'm saying? Shit hit the fan in Elmira. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Briz once again. You know what I'm saying? Briz was running crazy in Elmira 89. Motherfucker tried to touch Briz in the hallway by the mess hall. Briz held that down, ran all the way back to I Block, got the hammer, came back and put major work in. Blew the roof off of Elmira. You know what I'm saying? And then the Spanish motherfucker jumped out the window and scratched Killer Ben. Shout out, rest in peace, shout out to Killer Ben, the one and only KB, 4 Greens finest. Yeah, son. Motherfucker jumped out the window. A black dude, I think. Matter of fact, I think it was a black dude. They said a black dude pulled a Doja move for the Spanish niggas and he cut Killer Ben. Needless to say, the roof got blown off that jail when Killer Ben got scratched. You know what I'm saying? So that was probably one of the first adolescent race rides. Elmira.
Rescue Power, Killer Ben.
Anybody start getting voted around the state from that Elmira shit was Killer Ben. Briz landed. Now, when that shit happened in Elmira, a couple motherfuckers blew the roof off. That was a riot. You know what I'm saying? Niggas blew the roof off that spot. You know what I'm saying? Briz ended up going to Cashapp. And in Cashapp, shit rolled on. Another race ride. Now, this is when everybody was in the cash, son. I know yesterday I did the video and said I wouldn't name drop son, but I said, you know what, man, fuck that, man. You know what I'm saying? Niggas just gonna have to be mad at me, man. You know what I'm saying? All the comrades just gonna have to give me a tongue lashing and I'm gonna accept it. But the homies was deep in Cashapp when that race ride jumped off, son. Rest in peace, shout out to Juju, aka Ju Boy 4 Green. Shout out to Lil Marquise. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace, shout out to Diddle. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace to Patty Hurst. Listen, man. Dudes was deep in the cap. And if you know, you know. When that race ride went down in Cashapp, that Pistol Pete talking about, all them steppers in that yard went crazy, son. I'm talking Jew Boy, Marquise, Brandon, Patty Hurst, Lil Ditto. You think the motherfuckers just sat in the yard and let Pistol Pete run up on all them niggas and poke them niggas, man?
Birthday party.
I had to put on my do not disturb button,
Princess
boy.
party.
Okay.
Birthday Princessasaurus party. Get everything for every party on Amazon.
What happened, son? If you know your Brooklyn history, you know penitentiary history, them names I dropped, because I'm name dropping, them names I dropped, they were the bodies in the center yard when the other Pistol Pete, so-called, went out there and got busy. These are the motherfuckers he said he ran down on and hit up and stabbed up. Yo, this dude is hilarious, son. He's hilarious. You know what I'm saying? He's hilarious. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, a lot of brothers with name brand niggas got touched in that shit, and Brooklyn niggas just went crazy, son. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, rest in peace to Ditto. You know what I'm saying? I was reminiscing about Ditto the other day, man. Little Ditto. Ditto was a funny motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Last time I seen Ditto, he was on a visit, coming to visit Lil Wag and Shawanga. Yeah, man. Free Wag, rest in peace to Ditto, man. You know what I'm saying? Ditto was definitely caught up in that Elmira and Cashapp shit. You know what I'm saying? And when I posted his picture, I got a reaction. The people went crazy. So rest in peace to Ditto. But like I said, man, that Pistol P shit caused a reaction. I didn't know my video was gonna get the reaction it did, but a lot of OGs came out the woodworks. Another thing that a lot of people seem to be bothered about is they're claiming that the other Pistol Pete, he's not even the original Latino Pistol Pete. Yeah, man, I done started some shit. They talking about all the OGs coming out the woodwork, talking about the original Latin Pistol Pete was Peter or Pete Medina, and I think he caught a body in Elmira back in 90. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Medina used to run with D Wiz. Shout out to D Wiz, 4 Greens finest. Medina, all the Brooklyn boys knew him on the strength of D Wiz, and homie was supposed to be the original Pistol Pete, and he ain't just hit him motherfucking Elmira. He laid the motherfucker down in Elmira. Everybody know about that body that dropped in 1990 that the real Pistol Pete put down. So that's another conversation that's out there now. He not even the real Latin Pistol Pete. So we got a real Latin Pistol Pete, a second Latin Pistol Pete, and then we got Peter Rolick, aka Pistol Pete. Got 3 Pistol Petes out there. You know what I'm saying? But free Peter Rolick. Word the mother. Free Peter Rolick. You know what I'm saying? Pistol Pete. Sex, money, murder. Yeah, man. It's a lot being said, son. I know motherfuckers is going to try to holler at me, man. Listen, man. I'm gripped up. I'm ready for the smoke, and it's gonna be what it's gonna be. You know what I'm saying? But you be a damn fool if you think I wasn't gonna address this shit, son. And it seems like every day I gotta do a video because niggas is in my DMs and on my phone every day. You know what I'm saying? But hopefully this should have come to a cease tomorrow when Briz come through. You know what I'm saying? And chop it up with your boy Big Fruit. If y'all don't know, Briz is my OG. You know what I'm saying? Briz broke me in and Spofford. 87.
All right,
Let
child.
me know. Don't let nobody do
Yo,
nothing to
hold on
you.
1 second.
You scrap, do what you do. Briz was the first motherfucker I ever.
All right, child. I'm about to play the Breads video. You dig? So give me a second. I just wanted you to hear him talk a little bit. I'm gonna play the Breads video. That's the video talking the Breads video, right, God?
Yeah.
I'm about to play it right now, Lord. Hold on 1 second.
Like, and if we set our sights on something, you better believe it's happening.
This is fair use. It's fair
live
use.
with it on YouTube. We live with it on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be your boy Briz, aka Brandon, is coming through the building. You know what I'm saying? Right now, he got to open the email. When he opened the email, we lit. He just got to open the email. He got the. Now I'm on a break.
Can you?
Oh,
Can you hear me? Yo,
dude.
bro. Okay, Cam, mic is
I
on.
almost forgot, people.
Yo, I'm on live.
Salute.
Okay, salute. I had to turn it. I had to take it out of the car. All right, salute.
I almost forgot to put my headphones on. Salute. Peace. Ladies and gentlemen, because I know you got some ladies watching as well. We got Briz, aka Brandon, in the building. I can't hear you. Grab it to your volume. Grab it to your volume. I can't hear you.
All right, give it a second. Yeah, give it a second.
I can't hear you. I got my mic on. We don't do Brandon.
Yeah, I ain't this ain't. Yeah, I'm not. This ain't my
You don't do this
YouTube thing. You know, I got a little YouTube channel. A BTM research and consultation, but I ain't really good with all this stuff here. This ain't my forte. I'm like a
talk about
book.
that? Can we talk about that before you leave?
Oh, actual facts.
Okay.
Facts.
Okay. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, because I know I got some ladies watching. We got Briz in the building.
Fair use.
And the only reason why Briz is in the building is because there's been a lot of talk on YouTube and the internet with the other Pistol Pete telling the story about the Cashapp riot in 1990.
Yes, sir.
One thing Pistol Pete didn't do is name drop, and we found that to be respectable.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? We found that to be respectable and honorable.
Absolutely.
But at the same time,
I intend to stay in the same tradition as much as I can. Because I didn't get permission. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I intend to stay in the same tradition. Can you see me real good?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. I'm just making sure. Okay. So, you know, I intend to stay in the same tradition. I don't want to drop too many names. I'll just say, like, you know, I'll say initials. Even though we talk about 35 years ago,
yeah,
you know, I still don't want to be that guy that, you know, just be excessively dropping names.
Absolutely. We found it honorable that he did that, and that was very respectable, but we was thrown off with the story. Like the story itself just threw us off. You know what I'm saying?
Actual facts. Actual facts.
And me knowing I wasn't there, but at the same time, me knowing I knew some of, or most of the people that were there, I just laid in the cut. Unbeknownst to me, Briz hit me up, and here we go.
Yo, you pinging, man. I think either I'm gonna probably have to go closer to the crib and shoot into my Wi-Fi. But
I can hear you clearly.
Am I sound crazy when I speak?
No, everybody can hear you. Nobody said nothing.
Okay, yeah, you sound a little crazy, but I'm making out most of what you're saying.
Okay.
So, you know, beginning everything in the name of the creator of the heavens and the earth, always bearing witness that, you know, regardless of land, label, or language, there is one creator. That kind of spirituality, it unites us. It doesn't divide us. So, you know, I want to preface everything with that. You know, that black and brown disunity is crazy. I need to say that first and foremost. You know, the brother Pistol Pete Ops back in the days, you know, he got involved in something that wasn't his concern. But I always respected him because he ain't no punk. You know, and we was cool at one time. It's just that, you know, they didn't like. I'm the Brandon. My name is Brandon. I'm the brother that they mentioned that the whole thing started from. July 10th, 1990. I was there. It was me. The brother attacked in the yard while I was playing chess. And he came at me with a weapon. He hit me in the shoulder. I'll keep it kind of short. He was getting the beats put on him because that's what I do. I use these hands, and you know, pistoling them. They started converging. They got involved. They was holding him down just on the strength that he was a power rule. Can you hear me, brother?
Absolutely. We got you.
All right, you're a great listener. I just want to make sure you can hear me. So, they was holding him down on the strength that he was a power rule. He was Spanish. He was Puerto Rican, and like I said, I was putting the beats on him. They started converging in the midst of all the melee. Somebody reached over and cut me. I was trying to get my thing out. But police converged on me, took me out. Like I told Fru, I was so tight, I almost got it on with Jake because, you know, I was just mad. You know, I wasn't used to somebody getting the best of the situation. I usually get the best of the situation.
Jake is the police.
The very next rec period, my two homies, I'm just gonna say J and G, Big G and J, they came out the very next rec period, and Brooklyn and Queens action. Big G was from Queens, and Jay was from Brooklyn. Came out, and they almost killed homeboy because they knew what it was. So when I was going in the yard, let me just backtrack real quick. When I was going back in the yard, when I was coming in, because I was cut, I walked by the mess hall house, and my son Jay was there, right there. And like divine providence dictated that all people would be right there in the day room in the house. And I was just like, yo, Mills, Nils.
Right.
That's how we used to talk. I ain't want Jake to know what I was saying. So I was like, yo, Mills, Nils. And he picked it up. And the very next rec period, they almost laid homie down for good. They had to cut him open. It was crazy. But I want to clarify that there was no. First of all, I want to big up the younger brothers that using street smarts and common sense, they wasn't there, but they was able to dissect based on their prison experience and street experience and just knowing how this thing go. Wild Bill and some other brothers from the Bronx, they put up a great thing. You shout them out. We're not haters.
No question.
They put up a show dissecting the lies of Pistol P, straight lies. And they was accurate. I even had to big up them. And again, I don't look at Pistol as my ops now, but right. I gotta keep it real. You know, it's truth over falsehood. Like we say in Islam, we tell truth against falsehood until we knock out his brains. And I'm kind of going off course, but I'm gonna bring it back in. The reason why this is important is because Pistol Pete is doing a great work. He's going to Rikers Island. He's touching the youth. He's down with Terror Squad, which is that's attractive to the youth. They'll listen to him. So you can't squander that energy, bro. That's really why I'm here. I ain't really concerned about him being no ops from 35 years ago. That shit is mad corny. My thing, don't squander that good energy. It's hard for our generation to be able to make that connection with the babies like that, with the youth like that, and you going on the rock. That's Rikers Island. They letting you in, and you doing a great work of diversion and rehabilitation and telling your story in a way where it'll resonate with them and maybe transform human life. And then you're gonna turn around and lie, and then like my other brother said from Brooklyn Red Hook, he's like, you basically diminishing your own credibility. And I think the young brother Wild Bill said that. You murdering your own credibility. Because dudes is like semi looking up to you. Like, look, this is my spirit. I know he was my ops, but I'm looking at his show, Dogs in the Yard, and he's interviewing all my people.
No question.
I'm talking about my whole crew, my workout partners, my law library companions. He was in. I was like, yo, my brother F from East New York. We all know. You probably know who that is, but I'm not gonna say the name.
Absolutely, no question.
But he interviewing all, and I'm like, yeah. I was like done with the Kagsaki thing. I'm like, yeah. And then I saw this show.
That shit blew everybody.
And let me say this, right? He so much, that white dude that was interviewing him bigged him up so much and embellished his story so much to sell his brand. I'm gonna say that again. The white interviewer freestyled and embellished and big up Pistol Pete so much to sell his brand that now Mr. Pete felt pressured to kind of tell tall tales, like my daddy used to say, tall tales to kind of meet the hype. Don't let nobody do that to you, bro. When somebody big up me too much, I'd be like, hold on now, bro. I ain't do all that.
Right.
Because I did enough in my time where I don't have to embellish the truth. I don't have to tell tall tales. So getting back to the point, this is why this is so important. We don't want people who are credible interrupters to diminish their credibility over lies. Because these young dudes, they see through that. Just like the brothers from the Bronx. They wasn't in Kagsaki and they ain't even from Brooklyn. And on a personal level, like, bro, now this is just some Brooklyn. That's a little bit of the Brooklyn gangster coming out. What the hell was we doing while you had the Puerto Rican flag up, tearing all the brothers up in the yard? That's disrespectful, bro. Yeah. What was we doing?
Yeah.
Because he admitted, to his credit, that we was goons too. Because there was no yelling, no telling. You know what I'm saying? They got the best of me, but I was plotting my revenge because that's what we did. Okay, y'all got me. Y'all scratched me. So now getting back to the Puerto Rican flag in the yard, tall tale, right? So my two homeboys, they almost killed Home Skillet, right? So now the police is leading my man Big G out the yard. And Pistol, true indeed, he ran across the yard and he scratched my son. Nothing major, but he got a little scratch. But all of backing the police down and through the Puerto Rican, that's a lie, because when he scratched son, he got arrested as well. They arrested him and he was keep locked, and then he went to the box. We all landed in the box. I was involved because of the cut, and then I tore somebody up. Up in the reception area because I couldn't get the dude that I had hit up on a previous occasion. He was up and involved, so dudes was working with him. So I tore him up because I couldn't get him. So that's how I was giving it. I slung steel. We was slinging steel. Dudes was playing razor tag. I came from Elmira Pop. I was slinging steel. You know what I'm saying? So I tell that story not to try to big up myself. They didn't care nothing about that. I'm doing something positive out here now.
Right.
But what I tell that story because we all landed in the box. That's the point of me telling that. Pistol Pete was in the box. Now go back again. Pistol Pete was already in the box when the second incident happened. The incident happened with me. The very next rec period, my homies almost killed the cause of the problem. Now, a day later, that was the big riot in the yard. Pistol Pete was already locked up. So when did he throw a Puerto Rican flag up? Okay. Now, let me say this. It is a possibility to make some stuff in prison because prison, the most creative minds exist. So it's a possibility that you can get all the stuff to make a flag. You could do that, but it did not happen. The only time I heard about it, and I'm still trying to fact check it, the only time I heard about somebody doing that was Blue Boy doing that. I heard. Don't quote me on it. I heard that Blue Boy threw the Puerto Rican flag up and he tore some dudes up in Comstock. But even he will tell you, and that's a tough damn Puerto Rican.
Right.
That's a tough hammer slinging that I know very well. He's a tough dude. And even he gonna say, nah, bro, he wasn't hitting all the blacks up in the yard. Because come on. It was just tough. You're talking about the 80s and the early 90s. Are you kidding me?
Right.
What are we doing? It's dual things going on, and I'm gonna let you ask me whatever question you have. There's dual things going on with this whole problem. Number one, you saying that dudes was punks indirectly, and even though you said we was live, indirectly you saying we punks. And then the second thing is you ruining and squandering great credibility that can be used to transform human life. So that's what I'm saying so far. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
Nah, listen, you quoted everything I had to say in a nutshell, and I wasn't there. And I'm glad you had your moment and get that out because the people needed to hear the truth. You know what I'm saying? But I did let the people know you was going to come here with not only the truth, but you was going to come here with great positive energy.
Actual facts.
You know what I'm saying? And I got a phone call this morning, though he's going to be looking for it tomorrow, from the brother Kabir from Jersey, and he told me to shout you out.
That's my Nubian brother. Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
He was very much looking forward to this interview. He said he couldn't wait.
Well, I'm gonna try. Let me say this, brother. I'm gonna try my best to get on there as well. It's just that I have an errand that's very important that I have to run, and I didn't want it to conflict with that. But I'm gonna definitely do my best.
Right.
To be there, but I won't be able to probably concentrate on what I have.
Well, no.
As much.
You ain't even got to worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow you take care of your business. We can set something up at a later date. This was good enough for me, and I'm quite sure it was good enough for the 30 people that's in this live right now.
Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah.
You know what I'm saying? But
see,
before
one thing. Fruit. Oh no, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say before I let you go, speak on your quiet YouTube channel.
Okay, so I have a business page on Facebook and I have a YouTube channel, small, but it's growing. BTM Research and Consultation. I actually have a business. We provide paralegal services research services, and consultation assistance to individuals that are justice impacted, small businesses, and even sometimes law firms. We provide paralegal service to law firms. So we out here. That's why we wasn't getting caught up in that whole other, I ain't gonna say the name, that old nonsense with that other young dude, younger brother. We wasn't getting caught up in that because we out here doing positive things, man. We getting people, my boy whose name I'm not gonna mention, we just got him back down in the feds, man. He had a federal case and we got him back down on the remand. You probably know who I'm talking about. We did that. This is what we do. We out here getting people home, getting people time cuts. We trying to make it easy for those that are wrongfully convicted, those that have been over sentenced, overcharged. I'm going to pick people up from prison when they come home. I'm trying to give whatever support, moral, and whatever I can do for people that's justice impacted. That's what we out here doing. I'm helping a small business owner right now whose business was destroyed by a commercial landlord. This is the kind of stuff we out here doing. And I'm doing tons of work. Reading transcripts, doing appeals, helping anything I can do. I'm out here doing. Providing assistance. My JPay is crazy. We out here doing the work. So that's what BTM Research and Consultation Services stands for. My street name was Briz back in the days, or Lil B, depending on when you met me. But right now I'm Brother Brandon. I'm Tasedi Mohammedan. Brother Brandon, Tasedi Mohammedan. I'm in the Nation of Islam. And essentially, I'm sticking to the things that brought me success while I was in. I'm sticking to the things that got me home. I've been home 9 years.
Congratulations.
I served, unfortunately. Thank you, brother. Praise be to Allah. I served, unfortunately, 28 years, so from the age of 16 to 44 years, for murder in the second degree. Fought my case the entire time, and did so much research and so much litigation that I was able to get other people home. I was able to get other people time cuts. I was able to put some money in my pocket. So this is, and I'm just keeping and sticking to the things that work. But one thing we are not going to do, Fruit, is we are not going to be liars. There's no need to tell tall tales. You know, I stayed silent because I was so happy to see somebody that was in the belly with me, even if they was the ops. I ain't like, bro. Pistol was one of the dudes. There's only one dude that I taught 14 years later behind that Kaksaki thing, and that's because he put my man to sleep, and they cut him up real bad at Auburn. So I caught this dude 14 years later, and I stabbed him till my arm got tired because that had to happen. But Pistol Pete is not somebody I consider an enemy to this day. He was the ops. I want to clarify that, but you cannot be lying about, because that's our history. At the end of the day, that is Black history. The struggles and things that we went through to become the men that we are today are not things that we glorify, but it's things that we learn from and we became better men because of. But Absolutely. You're not going to give me no shorts, and you're not going to give my people no shorts to make it look like, you know what I'm saying, you know, we were suckers on the bed. No, we were stand-up men. We made mistakes, and that's that. But go ahead, because I'll talk.
Now, I just wanted to. I'll let you go. But listen, man, I appreciate you pulling up. I appreciate you pulling up. And like I said, man, I'm on your time whenever you good, ready to come back. We could do what we do. I'm quite sure the people.
All right, man. Much respect to the brothers. You know what I'm saying. So we got my boy Shabu on the phone. Peace, Shabu. Peace to the God. Tell me what you think of the whole. Tell me what you think of the whole situation.
Well, look, he mentioned a few things. Of course, we got to clarify when he uses our language. He said power rules, and we know that that's a part of terminology dealing with our nation, the 5% nation. Right?
Alphabet.
Right. So when I heard him, like I said, I heard it briefly from watching Zip last night playing it. So I thought, you know what I'm saying, and due to his language that he was one of us, but I was still conflicted with why they were still calling him Brandon and all that. So I had even asked Zip, you know, was he going by any righteous name? But today, of course, before I get on to deal with you with any topic, I'm going to make sure that I do my investigation. And that's when I found out that, you know, after the fact, he came home and became a part of the Nation of Islam. But like I was telling you, when we speak about this, a lot of people, they probably don't even know about the movie once again. And the reason why I'm going to go back to that is because everything has a foundation. So there was a movie called Short Eyes. And in the movie, you know what I'm saying, you had a little bit of everything represented. The gangs, the Latino gangs, you know, the pimps, the hustlers. And we also had a brother named Raheem that was in there that was representing, you know, God Body. And I don't know when that movie was done, 1977, somewhere is either the early or the late 70s. And the reason why I'm addressing these things is because a lot of these brothers that come afterwards, and what I say afterwards, the end of the 80s and going into the 90s, the guards became a little bit weaker in the penal institution. But prior to that, the mid 70s, early 70s on, going into the early 80s and so forth and so on, the biggest population or the strongest population in there was the guards, not gangs, you know. So the reason I went back to that movie is because in that movie, it showed you that when they had conflicts, they used to wrap up. You know, back in the days, the individuals that I knew in my hood, my OGs that went to Cashapp, Comstock, and those places that was considered gladiator schools, it was still about fist fight. The stabbing and everything didn't start to come along into the power rules, or as we call them in jail, Germans, you know, brought that into play.
Hold on,
Because,
for myself. And for everybody who don't know, the power rules of the Germans, if you're not from New Jersey or New York, power rules of Germans are Puerto Ricans.
right. So they brought the weaponry as far as the stabbing and everything into existence in the penal institutions because they wasn't as good as we was with our hands. Most ethnical groups prior, you know, other than us, you know, when it comes to some hand-to-hand combat, you know what I'm saying? We gonna win. Not saying that that's with everybody. You know, you got Cubans, you got other individuals that come from their countries, and you know,
That's
they
what we
fight.
built on yesterday. Past day was built on that. I told you I grew up with the Cubans in New
Right,
Jersey.
right,
Them the only ones that was a Latin that knew how to throw them hands, really, the Cubans.
right. So they brought about more or less the stabbings. And like I said, at that time, just like the brother is stating, because I went through Elmira in '89. That's the first time I went up north, and the only time I went up north for a bid in New York State. And my number was 89A3453, meaning I was amongst those first group because I caught the case in '88. So I went through Elmira. Elmira is a reception joint if you don't stay in downstate, but it's also, you know, one of the main max prisons that do hold the adolescents. And at that time, also going from the Puerto Ricans with the stabbing, this is around the time that a lot of the adolescents and C-74 and all that, they brought about what you call the $150. You know, prior to that, if somebody got cut in the face, you know what I'm saying? That was because, you know, that was like a snitch, you know, label, you know, but then it went to, you know, individuals basically doing that, you know, as a badge of honor. So the adolescents was running wild with that. So now when we get to what the brother is talking about, as far as a Puerto Rican going out and planting the flag and just wilding out in Cashapp, where the majority of the population, 75 to 80%, is original brothers. So how is that going to take place? Now, just like you said, prison is the most creative place that there could be. I got to this day pictures hanging on the wall in which individuals took sheets and made portraits and everything else like that, and I sent it home. So you could take a bunch of handkerchiefs and put them together and make a Puerto Rican flag, but when is you gonna get a chance to come out and plant that and do all that? And the brother explained it in depth by saying how it more or less took place. And like I said, as far as pistol is concerned, there was a lot of live Puerto Ricans that was on there. Like I told you yesterday when we was building on it. I was in the Beacon 91 to 92 fighting the 6 attempt murders on the police. Now, all the other blocks, they had a Spanish and black phone. There's only 2 phones per dorm. You know, I was in 3A at that time. You know, no, matter of fact, I was in 4A. I was in 3A first, but I got into some shit right away with police, and they transferred me to 4A. So we was on some some black love shit, just like they be talking about when the Spanish come in. I don't care what Spanish nationality you is, they gonna always look out for each other. So we had a thing going on at that time, which was called Black Love. So there's like, 48 cells. You got 24 upstairs, you got 24 downstairs. So we look at it like this. If it's 48 individuals inside that dorm and it's 33 or 30, let's just say 30 or more blacks compared to Spanish, why would y'all have a phone? Because we know it's slot time. Slot time basically start from 6 o'clock to 11 o'clock. So that means if we give y'all another phone, that's gonna make it uneven, because automatically when slot time roll around, ain't everybody can get on the phone. So basically we had it like that. It didn't change up. And this is well known. These cats from the Bronx know this Puerto Rican cat, and I give him his props. He was fly, and he was busting his gun on the island. His name was Pika. We gave the Puerto Ricans from 5 to 8 on the other phone. Okay, because we fair. We not savages, just like anybody that come into the house. I don't care whether you black, purple, or whatever. If you come into the house, I'm gonna make sure that you get on the phone so you could call your people. So when he got in there was a Puerto Rican that was running the phone for the Puerto Ricans named Papa. But Pika, being the individual that he was, if the slot time is only 5 to 8, you know what I'm saying? He just really basically wiggled his way in and cut them down on their own time, but he was from out the Bronx. He was fly. And I told you yesterday, most of the people know about that DVD that was made about the correction officer that was talking about, I think it might have been called Scarface for Life or whatever, with all the stabbings that was going on the alley. And you had certain people, and he was in that particular video. So outside of C95, like once again, when we were speaking yesterday, when Shaquille talked about how they started the Bloods, you know what I'm saying, because of the oppression, y'all was in C95. C95 was classified as San Juan because that's the building that the majority of the Puerto Ricans go to. Why? Because a lot of them, while they on the street, be messing with that heroin. So you go to C95, the detox, that's where they give you the methadone. So C95 was basically, you was outnumbered when it came to the Puerto Ricans. Okay, outside of when I was in there going up north in 89, because in 89, the tops, the lowers, the tops, the uppers, and then you had the modules and everything. That's where a lot of the blacks was, because the tops and the uppers is where they had the state prisoners that was coming back for cases and so forth. And at that time, it was another wild, like we say also, a lot of times Zip said it too, that we called them Indians, wild Indians. And there was a brother that was in there, once again from the Bronx, that all these cats gonna know is 100% official. His name was True Mathematics. And he was a complete savage. You know what I'm saying? Robbing, cutting, everything. Matter of fact, he died up north. They put it out there like he had died from AIDS, but he supposed to went to a hospital, had a blood transfusion, and that's how that was supposed to come about, because I ain't never known them to mess with no he cipher, monkey ciphers, or anything like that. But we was in the tops together. You know what I'm saying? And it was on fire. I'm talking about every day. If they don't send somebody new, that means somebody in the house is getting cut and everything. But at that time, you know what I'm saying, me being who I am, strictly on this righteous God body shit, you know what I'm saying? I had all of them basically in check. You know, he tried me one time. I think I told you I had made some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and left them in the rec room. Now, understand, at that time you got house gag, so that means in the morning, if it's 25 people in there, it's only going to be like 11 trays given out. All that type of stuff was going on back then. So if you wasn't live, you wasn't even getting fed in the morning. So I left 2 sandwiches in there and I went out. And when I came back in, one of my sandwiches was missing. So, you know, automatically I went into a script about, yo, who took my sandwiches or whatever, you know? And then he stepped up, you know, and under the way that he was carrying it, I knew right then and there I had to deal with him like how the way he had to be dealt with. So I'm like, yo, you don't follow UC King, you know, and take nothing from me. If you want something, you ask for it, but you know, I'm not using the words so that, you know, this would be good as far as YouTube is concerned with the cursing. But, you know, I blatantly went off and he understood and respected that. And also, like I said back there, wherever I go, if you say you God, we gonna build, we gonna go into them lessons and you gonna carry it right and exact, because if you run around like a savage over the phone or you robbing individuals or whatever, don't come back and call the law you bark and try and get us involved in some devilishment that you committed. So I was always respected because I lived this 100% right and exact. So to make a long story with him, when he got ready to go up north, and I think he was facing something like 7 bodies at that time. Like I said, anybody that know that I'm talking about, true mathematics from the Bronx, from Pelon, you know what I'm saying? He was off the chain. But I had them, you know what I'm saying, on some civilized stuff at that time. So before he went up north, I had some crowns with my name, Shabu, in it. And he asked me respectively, like, yo, God, could I get, you know, the crown? I'm like, yo, they got my name in it. He said, yo, I'm going up for however, you know, and, you know, out of respect, I gave it to him. But it's always been from the island to up north or whatever back in those times,
Okay.
you know.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
Peace to the gods.
Peace. We got the brother Cross in the building. Salute to my bro Cross.
Salute. Please, Cross.
God, let me ask you a question. So it's a lot of people that's going around saying that the reason the blood started because of they was being pushed up on and jumped by the Puerto Ricans, the power rules.
Yeah.
So what you think of that? Because I don't believe that anyway, because I know the guys was deep in the late 80s, early 90s. The guys was deep in every prison, damn near the East Coast, Lord.
Right.
Tell me the size on that, Lord.
That's what I'm saying. When Shaquille brought that up, even though it basically the cat, and I didn't know until later on T-Tone or whatever that really started with the Latin Kings and all that. It was in Cayuga, because I know the guards Born King and them was in there at that time. A medium up north called Cayuga, you know, and he said that they started it. It's either in the Feds or Dawn Diva magazine or whatever. And King Tone is from out of East New York. And I remember when they started that, because up on Pickens Avenue, they got a school called PS 159. And they had put it inside the playground, Latin Kings up there. We used to always like have beef with them. But he said that it started there in Cayuga. But on the island, like I said, I was in the Beacon in 91, 92. Now, 9 Block was called 9 Blood, but it wasn't called 9 Blood because of the Bloods. It was called 9 Blood because a lot of people was getting stabbed in that block. So the COs used to always use, like, yo, you starting something, you think you tough, I'm going to send you to 9 Block. Even though my little man's from out my hood, you know, Ken Do, Green Eyes, all of them, a lot of individuals that I knew from the streets, you know what I'm saying, was in that block at that time. But in the Beacon at that time, ain't none of that gang stuff was going on like that, you know? And I don't know about the other buildings, but once again, C95 is classified as San Juan. So of course, you gonna go through it. It's just like in Brooklyn House. Most of us go up on the 6th floor. The 4th floor used to be for cats from Staten Island, and they used to have, like, you know, you got A, B, C, D, or whatever be on the floor. So you might, in A block, it might be all Spanish. And once again, I was sent down from the 6th floor to the 4th floor. I got there, you know what I'm saying? Some cat was next door to me that was Spanish. That's when they take those little cracker boxes that we used to get the crackers in. I forgot that the club crackers in the little green box, and individuals would take that and they put their headphones up in it, and it sound like a speaker. So you know it's nighttime, and we getting ready to go to rest, and he's playing this shit loud. So I'm like, yo, Holmes, could you cut your joint down? And he just started riffing, yo, you just got here, who you think you is, all that. And I'm not with none of that rap shit. You know what I'm saying? I said, yo, I see you on lockout, you know? But in the morning, by the time it came and he knew it was real, it basically didn't go that way. But once again, that phone thing was an issue. And at that time, like I said, I'm in there for 6 attempt murders on the police. My girl is on the outside, but she don't got a phone to her house. So she got to go across from Cypress Hills on Linden Boulevard and Fountain Avenue and be there every night at 8 o'clock. So that means whatever house, whatever building, anywhere that I go on this bid right now, when 8 o'clock comes, I got to have some slack time. So they basically running the joint and everything else. So I'm like, yo, I see how the movement is. I'm like, yo, 8 o'clock, I got to have that jack. You know what I'm saying? So they had some big cat in there. They always use a Panamanian or Dominican or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Step up.
So he was going to try to press you.
Right. So they use the cat Panama like as they, you know, whatever. And I'm like, yo, son, I ain't got nothing to do with what y'all do with the rest of it, because once I stepped out the cell, the blacks that was in there, you know, they was happy to see me because they was being oppressed. And I'm like, yo, man, what's going on? Because I want to know what's going down, because I don't see y'all really getting on the phone, even in the daytime, like y'all supposed to. So, you know, they like, yo, they got us outnumbered. I'm like, yo, y'all know I'm not going for that. So like I said, long story short, they said this Panamanian cat to me, and I'm like, yo, man, ain't nothing happening. I don't care what it is. 8 o'clock, whoever touched that jack has got a problem. So you know what they end up doing. We locked in after lunch, and while I was locked in for lunch, that was it. That's when they packed me up and sent me to the Beacon. You know what I'm saying? It's like everything else. If you too strong, they're gonna drop a slip or whatever, dry slips to the police, and they're gonna get you up out of there. But once again, like you said, Born, you know, at that time, and I stayed in the Beacon from 91 to 92. I got shit on St. Lad's talking about that and everything. It wasn't no gang. It wasn't none of that. You know what I'm saying?
So Shabu, how many was there versus, you know what I'm saying, the brothers that was there? You said they was getting oppressed. So when you came in there to that whole situation, how much was y'all outnumbered at that point?
Shoot. Oh man. See the Brooklyn house. Each unit is kind of small. I want to say it ain't no more than maybe 15 to
Okay.
20 cells that's on there. I don't even remember if it wasn't no upstairs, downstairs. So it might.
Let's use an example. Let's say 40 inmates. Out of the 40 inmates, how many would have been outnumbered that was brothers?
We would have been. It would have been like 30 to 10.
Mm.
It would have been like 30 to 10.
Damn. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how it go. And at the end of the day, they more or less just like white boys. You know what I'm saying? If it ain't a group of them that's against us, you know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna be really no noise. But if they outnumbering us, then they gonna think that they stand a chance. And most of them situations, they still don't turn out well because all it takes is one or two real live brothers, and they could go up about 10 or 15 of them and still air them out. So, you know.
So when you got there, would it be safe to say when you got there, there was nothing? The brothers wouldn't have had nothing really, even though they could have said in the streets they was this, they was that. They really didn't establish any type of presence there before you got there, or whatever the case may be.
Exactly.
Was they, what I'm saying, was these cutthroat dudes, or these just the commonality, the brothers that just was passing through or whatever?
Well, you know, still at that time we still dealing with the crack era, so you know you might got a good portion of them cats that were smokers in the streets, or you might have one or two individuals that they gonna be totally different individuals had they not been placed in a situation where they was outnumbered.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So according to how you carrying it is according to how you gonna respond to it. Because if individual is weak or iffy, he gonna go along with that, hoping that an individual like me or somebody that has that type of presence is gonna come in and the situation is gonna change to the betterment of their behalf. But as far as them making moves on their own, they not going to initiate that.
Gotcha. So do you think the majority in that spot during that time, like say for instance, whether it been the Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, or whatever, do you think that those are the people that was in that more long term? The majority of them was in there long term, so they had already established.
Nah, that just was Brooklyn House. Brooklyn, you got Brooklyn House, you got Queens House, Staten Island. They didn't have no county booking holding space. So if you was in Staten Island, they would send you to Brooklyn House. If you got a court case in Queens, you would, you know what I'm saying, you would go to Queens House or the Bronx House or whatever. But most of the time, if you got a serious case where you're going to be locked up for a while, you know what I'm saying, fighting that case, you're going to end up on Rikers Island.
Gotcha.
And Rikers Island was the biggest penal colony at that time, you know, in the United States, because we got so many buildings, C-74, C-73, C-79, C-95. When I got to the Beacon, you know, which was really the new HDM, because everybody was afraid really to go to HDM because that's where it was going down, men's house of detention. You know what I'm saying? But that goes according to your classification. That if you got like murder, you know, armed robberies, assaults, anything that might be, you know, classified to be violent or, you know, drug selling, stuff like that, from 17 to 22. I had the highest classification that you could get, which was a 22. That's like murder, attempt murder on police, shit like that. That's what you're gonna have. So you can only go in the certain buildings. You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna have you in the weaker buildings like C76. That's like where you got what you call county time. If you had a case and they might have broke it down from a felony to a misdemeanor, so instead of you going up north, you would go to the 6th building. The 6th building, the most you could do is a bullet. That's a year, you know, so that's like 8 months.
Well,
you
see,
know?
I heard my cousin, you know what I'm saying, salute to him, and, you know, both of my peoples that just got home. He was breaking it down, like he said, people don't understand. It's a difference, different levels. And you can probably elaborate. He said you got what is called inmates, like you said, they're just gonna do the bullets. Then you got, he said, then you got prisoners, which most of the time them niggas is in the way. And he said, and then you got what you would be considered a convict, which them is the ones that's gonna come in there and they gonna set the stage. He said, shit,
Right.
I'm going in there to set the stage. Like I
Right.
said,
And see, you just broke down a great analogy, because you got to understand that's how the Attica riot and all the things that individuals ended up being able to receive in the system, they fought for. So a lot of the brothers that was going to jail, that was my OGs in the 70s and all that, when they went to jail, they had still had that like revolutionary mentality, you know. So most of the individuals that they was meeting, like, you know, like the legends like Farmer, T45, Glassman, Graveyard, a lot of these individuals that was legends in the system. And one brother from out my way, like I was telling Born the other day, Shakim, you know, Lord bless those that return to the essence. I think it might have been like a year going on 2 years. He was locked down for 45 years when he died in jail. And he went to jail or caught the case in 1976 because the cats that was from out my way, that's when they was going out to Staten Island robbing, you know, bars, liquor stores and all that stuff like that, because that was before they started using plexiglass. So the cats from out my way in Brooklyn and all that, we was always known, that's all we was taught growing up, was to take something. So they would go out there, and what happened with him is that they was sticking up a bar, and a 13-year-old girl came from out the back, and he ended up killing the 13-year-old girl, but she was a mafioso's daughter. So they tried to bail him out for $25,000, right? Because back then, in the 70s and all that in New York, you could kill somebody if the most your bond gonna be on a murder is $25,000. But the brother refused to take the bail out because he knew nobody in his family had that type of money to bail him out. The mob was trying to bail him out to kill him.
Right.
You know? But while he was in there, he caught 4 bodies, and you know what I'm saying? He spoke like 4 different languages and all of that and everything. They had a group called the Black Messiahs. So drug dealers and anybody that came in that was well known from the street, and you got money and you ending up in those maxes, you either live or you very well connected, or 9 out of 10 you're gonna get extorted. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it was cats like him, you know what I'm saying, that was legends behind them walls and everything like that. But going back to what you were saying with the convict, because that's just like Pappy Mason and all them cats. I learned about all them dudes through my OGs, because all of them was in those places like Kaksaki, Comstock. All those was considered gladiator schools in the 70s. And their main beef was with the police. And even with me, when I went to jail, my beef ain't really over the phone and the TV and all that. You know what I'm saying? I got beef with these redneck police or whatever if you up there in the mountains, because that's a whole different ball game right there. And when riots and all that pop off up north, you talking about the biggest white boys that you ever seen in your life. And
Yeah,
they call them.
that's what my people said. He had to go up in the mountains. He said, bro, he said, man, you go up there. He said, man, they running it. He said, man, you see these white dudes that you ain't never seen in your life. And he said, and they with the shit too. They with it.
Hey, listen, when they dug Attica up to build a new gym, I don't know how many bodies that they found underneath there. Back then, they'll kill you and just act like you lost in the system. And this is what
Right.
I'm saying, that a lot of people don't understand the politics and everything. All these young cats now, they could talk about the drugs and everything that's going on, but a lot of these dudes, and not even just the 70s was way better, because I knew black dudes, old timers from out my way that went up north in 1954 and shit like that, where the blacks was outpopulated by the whites.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you dealing with a super form of oppression, because now you up there, like, people don't realize the 5 boroughs of New York City, that's small compared to the state of New York. You get sent to.
And I hate to stop your bill, because I'm glad you said about the young folks don't understand. So I'm gonna ask you this, just to segue on something real fast, is that whole Antoine Massey thing. The fact that dude that went live and they still looking for him. He said he was innocent. You see the video of him walking out. He said he didn't escape, but he left out with them, right? So my thing is, what you think in your mind, you being and us going through that and understanding the system, especially like you say, because upstate New York system is damn near almost identical to like Louisiana. When they got Angola, they tell you when you get on that boat and go across to that island, the only time you coming back is when you coming in the box. So what you think about that dude? You think that he asking for everybody help? He asking for Lil Wayne help. He asking for everybody help. So what you think from that point of view, where what you think gonna happen?
Well, it's really hard to say, but you got to keep in mind too, right? When you up north, if you escape or anything like that, in those towns, right, they is giving, if they catch a escapee, right, you giving $2,000 dead or alive. You know what I'm saying? So that means that if you up there and whatever, and you escape prisoner, the regular town people, they got the right to blow your head off and turn you in, just like they used to do with the bounty hunting thing. And being that you brought up Angola, I just seen a joint on there, the oldest prisoner. You got a dude that was locked up and he's still in Angola since 1953.
Yeah.
He was locked up since he was 15 going on 16 years old. And see, that's all a part of the system too, that a lot of people don't understand. Like,
well, you said something deep, Shabu, and I ain't even think about it from that perspective. You said he don't understand that when they're out and they put out a bounty or whatever the case may be, the average citizen, especially even thinking about Louisiana, if he's still there, can be put in a situation where they got a reward for him, like you said. He's free, I hate to say it, he's free, he free motion. He free motion to get popped at. From anybody.
Let me ask you a question though. Do y'all think he's still in the country?
I think he is, because you know they just did a video where they showed the other day that went viral. And this is what the people said. They said the police said they were notified by social media because you know he went live and he started talking about, hey, they doing me wrong, blah blah blah. And then he did another live, but he left this. Now I'm gonna say something, and again, I ain't trying to say that whether he right or wrong, I don't know, because I don't know the situation. But I can say he done watched some TV, because they said the clothes he had on in that video with that jumpsuit, he left all the clothes there. All his clothes that he had on that live, they said when they showed up at their house, he was not there, and they said his clothes was there. So I don't know. And they he's not been there, but they showed a video of him walking out. But at the same time, he said he didn't flee. He said he was done wrong. And he said he need a lawyer. So I don't know. But he also got and they said they ended up doing something, locking the girl up. I think allegedly locking the girl up. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm too abreast with that right there.
Yeah, so that's a good question. Like you said, that bounty, that's another thing. The fact that, you know, he could be free game, you know, and in Louisiana, they don't play. You know, it's around these areas, it's damn near basic, stay in your ground.
Right. Because the only time that you can be classified as a slave again is when you violate the laws and they lock you up. And that's why they say that you belong to the state. You state property. You know what I'm saying? So you give up all your rights as being a citizen, you know what I'm saying? And you are property of the state. That's why, you know, you upstate, they, you know, when I first got to Elmira, they got lines, you know what I'm saying? You walk in between the lines, going to the mess hall. The CO don't say nothing. He hit his baton stick. One time you move in, 2 times you stop it. And if you set anything off in the mess hall, you know, that's inciting a riot. You know, they're going to give you more time for that and everything else. So, you know, it's a lot of racism
Boy Shabu, my aunt asked you how old you are, bro.
I'm 63. I'm a 62 baby. I'm before we got, you know, voters' rights and all that and everything else. And that's what I'm saying. A lot of things that we take for granted now. Of course, I'm not a part of the lynching and all of that and everything else, but the things that I done seen throughout my lifetime, you know, growing up and everything else, riding down on the Greyhound bus going to South Carolina. I remember I was 5 years old and I got to South Carolina, and my people was from McClellanville, and my mother tried to get off the bus. She was already up and ready to get off the bus, and because the white man wanted to get off before her, you know, he elbowed her in the stomach and knocked, you know, all the air out of her, you know. I had a cousin that was accused of raping and killing a white woman down there. He had a black lawyer. He beat the case, right? He beat the case. My cousin sent them up here to New York and everything else. While he was in New York, they went into the lawyer's office, killed him, and left his penis stuffed in his mouth. You know what I'm saying? And then my cousin went back down there and they retried him and gave him time. So
basically when he went down there for the funeral, they was waiting on him.
Well, I don't know when he went to the funeral or not, because you know, at that time a lot of them would come up there and we say like mama's boys, because we get sent down there to the South without our aunts and everything. To when we acting up, and you know, my aunt Rebecca, that's when you got beat with switches and all that, you know, when the sun was down and everything, and it was an interesting thing.
Not even that, you had to go pick your switch out.
Right, you know, and they might put some lemon or some salt on your behind after they whip you with it. And I was watching a show that Adam 22 had with a black brother versing, you know, this white dude with everything. And he made a profound statement. He said that once the kids knew that their parents could go to jail for giving them corporal punishment, you know what I'm saying? That's when things got out of hand. And I know just as well as y'all know, even though y'all younger than me, y'all still come up in that era of time where your mama would say to you, I brought you here, I'll take you out. You know what I'm saying? And if we don't have the authority as parents to be able to, you know, like they say, what the Bible or whatever, or spare the rod, and you know what I'm saying?
Child.
Yeah, spare the rod and spoil the child. It's a fact.
Right. So it's some of them that, you know, when they ass get out of position, you got to put the fair guard in them, and you know what I'm saying? You give them that whooping. You know, shoot, I was bad growing up. I always went to school, but I was bad, and I used to do all type of crazy shit. And my mom's with, you know, I come in there, you know, she put me in the bathtub. I used to extort these two cats for their frankfurters back then in school. This cat Ricky Stradone and another dude, I forgot his name, whatever. But his moms came up to school, and I didn't really curse her out, but I was rude to her, you know. And my moms had just bought me a pair of combat boots, and we used to go out to the park when it was cold with the ice and stomp in the ice and, you know, get the boots wet. So my moms had already told me, you better not go out there and play in that ice and come back in there with these boots wet. So, you know, I'm hard-headed. I get in the park. We start doing our thing, breaking ice. Boots are soaking wet. Soon as I get to the crib, you know what I'm saying? The lady, Ricky Stradone's mom's Miss Stradone, she coming into my building. I'm like, damn, I already got these boots wet. And now this lady is coming up there. So when she come and knock on the door, my mom was dyeing her hair. So she had to stop dyeing her hair. You know, that's the worst right there. And she already see me coming in with, you know, the water that's in there, splash. So
she don't want to look embarrassed in front of this woman, and you done got this woman at her house when she doing her own thing.
Right. See, because mothers back then. So my mom tell me, take off your clothes. You know, she run the bath water, but she talking to the lady. So, you know, she finished talking to her, go back down to here. I'm in the bathtub, thinking everything is cool with the G.I. Joe. I done kind of got away. Once she finished putting that plastic over her head, it came in there. It was electric cord time coming out the bathroom, soaking wet.
That extension
my ass foot. That's right. You know what I'm saying?
I've been there.
Right. And see, these are the things now that they talk about in society, that our kids is unruly and everything else. But if we ain't got the right as parents to be able to, you know what I'm saying, lay the rod to them when they need the rod to be laid to them, then that's a problem. And then we started having kids that was having kids. So your kid is unruly and disrespectful because you let them do anything in there. And now when they get around somebody grown and they disrespect them, instead of that mother coming, you know, and talking to the mother and everything and giving them another ass whooping. And that's another thing. When we was growing up, it was still like the village is raising the village.
That's right.
You know,
because village raising a child. That's right. It takes a village to raise a child. I tell everybody. That's why, think about it, when they implemented, and I always tell people, who is the one that made it successful? It wasn't our culture. Stop snitching with the stop sign. It was other people putting that program in us to make us feel like we shouldn't be. Because again, when we were growing up, we had that neighbor where they were going to tell everything. I don't care if somebody came to your door. Well, I seen such come to your house the other day. I didn't know. We don't have that no more. We used to call them nosy neighbors, but they really were just concerned people that was in the neighborhood. Like, I'm just trying to make sure what's going on.
Right. And it was the same thing we grew up, the women that we grew up in our building with or whatever, if they catch you busting the lights or something like that, Miss Farmer, Miss Wynn, whoever, they can smack the shit out you, take you upstairs, and now your mother, you gonna get a double ass whooping.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But once all these things went out the window, you know what I'm saying? You got a bunch of kids that's being hauled up like savages, and then the drug game, like I said, didn't do it no better because the crack was the only thing that made mothers not be mothers. The dope fiend, the alcoholic, they still took care of their kids. But when the crack came along, you got mothers that no longer was mothers. So if a child is not growing up with the natural, you know, being nurtured through their mother and receiving unconditional love from their mother, then how they gonna be able to show any love or respect or consideration for anybody else? So that was a whole nother era that was created where kids was just being hauled up, or you know, they had to live under that self-destruction by their mothers or fathers, you know, being hooked on drugs. So, you know, it got to the point where individuals were selling drugs to their own mama or father. You know what I'm saying? So all these things take its course with what we got that's going on nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Where there's no respect or no shape, form, or fashion. There's no such thing as no OGs or nothing like that that could tell you this or go upside your head when you was wrong, because back then, you know, we ain't have no fathers or like me, no sisters or brothers. You know, it was those individuals that was in my hood that protected me, and they raised me from like, look, man, we not gonna fight for you, but if you get into some shit, we got your back. Because back then, you know, it was based on how large your family was or how many people that you had that would come out and fight for you. And you know, back then they was taught, yo, if your brother fighting, you better jump whoever it is that your brother is fighting with. So some niggas, I had a fear of fighting them only because they had a big family. But now I got a family out in the streets that, yo, when it come 3 o'clock and I got beef with this cat that got a bunch of sisters and brothers, they gonna be up at the school too to let them know, look, this gonna be a one-on-one fight. If any of y'all jump into this, then y'all got beef with us. And this is how our whole mentality, you know what I'm saying, of the A-team and everything came about, not from a gang structure, but from a movement, because we had that radicalism with us. But then in the same token, we ran into a situation that nobody knew nothing about. The dope game was controlled.
Well, and that's crazy you said that, because I was going to ask you that question was, you know what I'm saying, about the whole A-team, because you had mentioned something about the mobs and stuff. So at first I was going to ask you about how did y'all, not necessarily saying target, but I'm saying, one, how was it created? And when did y'all kind of segue into saying, you know what, I'm going to catch these weak dudes slipping because it's easy bread?
Right. But see, it never really been told. Like a lot of people got all type of, you know, fables or whatever. We had bulletproof trucks and all that. But it did that was just a label that was put on it when we got into basically the drug era. You know what I'm saying? And it really didn't come from that. It just came from, you know, one day my student Arif was standing around and we was taking a picture and he said we the A-team. But it was formed long before that because it was a structure and a mentality. You know, like outside the project, you could never just come over there and rob nobody or do certain things without it being a repercussion. And even when it was with the gang structure, the Buccaneer Lords or whatever, that was there too. Like going back to the Spanish thing, you know what I'm saying? We had 2 gangs that was out in East New York at that time. One was called the Sex Boys. They was mainly all Puerto Rican and Spanish. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the era of time that mostly all Spanish people were Puerto Ricans. It wasn't no real, and if they was Dominicans or anything else, they was keeping that under the cover. They wanted to be affiliated as being, you know, Puerto Rican or whatever. And then you had another gang which was called the Crazy Homicides. They was kind of mixed with black and Spanish. You know, so you know, we had a thing with them Sex Boys. They had there's a street in East New York that's called Essex Street. And what they did was they went from one end, like maybe like Flatlands or whatever, which is like close to the last strip before you get to the belt or whatever, and they started crossing out ES, and they just turned it into Sex Street. You know what I'm saying? So the older cats in my immediate area, they formed what they call the Buccaneer Lords, which is from an original gang in Brooklyn that was formed back in the days in Bed-Stuy, which was called the Imperial Buccaneers. You had the Imperial Buccaneers, the Fort Greene Chaplains, and all that. And see, that's even with the 5% thing that most of the brothers from Brooklyn that got knowledge in the 60s and everything else, once again, they was gang bangers. And then they got knowledge. Then in the 70s, when I was growing up, the Tomahawks, the Jolly Stompers, the Hellcats, all these black gangs, mainly the Jolly Stompers and the Tomahawks was two of the biggest black gangs in Brooklyn. They ended up, you know, one of the leaders that's well known is Art Bark from the Tomahawks. He was the one that played in that movie called The Education of Sonny Carson. That was between the Tomahawks and the Lords was really representing the Jolly Stompers, which they was part of like Crown Heights and Bed-Stuy, and the Tomahawks was mainly like Brownsville and a little bit of Crown Heights, even though I got some more history from brothers that hit my channel when I was speaking about, and they was telling me about even other divisions that was in Bed-Stuy in different places. But those are the ones that in the early 70s, they got taught. And when they became 5%ers and everything else, that's when all the gangs in New York mainly was crushed. The only gang that went and did something different was the Bronx, which was Black Spades. The Black Spades turned into the Zulu Nation.
Okay. So okay, that's a good one. So with Bambaataa, when it came to that, where did he? So he was part of the Black Spades, or where he was a separate entity of it?
Nah, Bambaataa was one of the leaders of the Black Spades.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And from them turning from Black Spades, they turned into the Zulu Nation. Now, I know one of the brothers that was up there, older brother, see, because if you look at the foundation, the Latin Kings, the Zulu Nation, all of them got information that comes from out of our nation, just like our degrees is really from the nation of Islam. You know what I'm saying? So most of them, everybody got some type of foundation. And Bambaataa, when he first started the Zulu Nation, instead of like using A for Allah, he used A for Africa and a lot of different things. And the older brother, Wonderful, told them, you know, back then, like, you got to switch this up. You can't be like trying to copy like how the lessons go and everything else. So basically, even though they still had information in their thing, like our student enrollment or whatever, they got a lot of their lessons that they incorporated into it from out of the 5%ers lessons.
Okay, so you mentioned something about the Tomahawks where it started, and then they you know, ascended to doing the 5%. Did the Black Spades and the Tomahawks ever bump heads?
Nah, not really, because the Black Spades was in the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? So every borough had they gangs like Queens.
So was it? So at this, I hate to cut you off. So at this point, when they created Under the Lessons, were these? How can I say it? Almost like how the original, how the Crips and them, meaning as in they were conscious gang bangers, not physical or violent. Because, like I said again, it was no was there any kind of crosstown beef as these different ones was being created during that time? That's what I'm saying. Or if everybody was following Under the Lesson and they was just protecting their own community.
Right. Basically, that's what brought everybody together. But like all things, I ain't gonna say, we got renegade guards, we got jive guards. So you got brothers out there that come under the name, but they do unrighteous things because at that time it became a fad and a style. So you got people that join only because they was scared, or at that time we used to be pulling all the broads. Like Russell Simmons said, the flyest cats in my neighborhood was the 5%ers. So you had a lot of people that's just like with the blood thing, Shaquille, and a lot of them that became the big homies, they was 5%ers. Even Blue Boy will tell you that. I got a little clip where he was a 5%er before he became a Crip.
Did Russell Simmons ever try? He said that, but did he ever try to be a 5%er before?
Not that I know of.
Okay,
not that I know of, but all of those people at that time, it's like impossible from the mid 70s to like the mid 80s for you to say that you the 5 boroughs, Jersey, because just like our parliaments back then, like buses used to come from Jersey, buses used to come from Connecticut. You know what I'm saying? New Rochelle, where Lord Jamar and all of them, they right there with the Bronx. So the Bronx, New Rochelle, Yonkers, Mount Vernon, all that right there, they right there. But we had at that time, Boston, you had other states or upstate New York and everything else where you would have buses of 5%ers coming in from those areas.
Right, into the boroughs. So my thing is, based off of what you said, like again, do you think the Tomahawks was the creators, or that was people coming? Like I said, you said again, the Tomahawks learned the lesson, and again, that had to spread from the boroughs for everybody. How did the other? My question is, from the Tomahawks or whomever, who was the person that was spreading the information to all the boroughs at that time?
Okay, you had brothers, like we got the first 9 born, and then we got the first 9 born in Medina, which we call Brooklyn. We got the first 9 born is Mecca, and then Pelon, which is the Bronx. So that's where it all originated. And then them brothers, they started spreading out because they thing was they was all held responsible for teaching 9 other individuals and bringing them on in. So in Queens, if you had the Savage Skulls and the Black Skulls, you know what I'm saying? It was the same thing. Them brothers started running in the individual brothers, holding ciphers in the parks and everything, and they started crushing the gang mentality, because the gang mentality was about savagery and destroying, one another, or a lot of the gangs got paid back then. That's why the South Bronx and Brownsville and all them places was getting burnt down, because the Jewish landlords and everything, they would pay the gangs to burn down their buildings so that they can receive money for it.
Didn't know that. Okay, gotcha. So you saying from them brothers from the Bronx and them, they kind of spread it out. So how many was it? Because you said they had to go out and they had to teach 9 per person. So how many was it that went out there? If you don't mind me asking.
Like I said, you got the first 9 born from Mecca, which is Manhattan, and then they migrated and started teaching other brothers in Brooklyn and Queens and different things like that. So all of them brothers, they started, you know, teaching, and then like in my era, I'm like I said, I was 62, so 72, I was 10. I ran into the nation's teachings through my cousins in them that was jolly stompers. They was gangbangers. So I went over to Brooklyn. I was in Brooklyn. I went over to Day Park, which was Albany Projects back then, and all of them had turned from being jolly stompers and ex-cons in the 5%ers. So I get in the crib with my two older cousins. Now, mind you, these are the cats that's teaching me how to break in the, because back in the project, this before they had the black boxes on the doors. So you could take a credit card when somebody go to work, slip it in, and you in their apartment. You know what I'm saying? So they was teaching me all the street crime and stuff. And now I walk in there and these dudes got racist names. They got, you know, pig on the refrigerator, 999 diseases. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? These niggas don't go to school or nothing. So I get in the back and I see them with a book of life. And I'm like, yo, man, let me see that. I'm 11 years old, Cross. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yo, let me see that. So my cousin Boo Boo, knockout artist, all that, tough cat. You know what I'm saying? He like, at that time, he changed his name to Supreme. He tells me, yo, go to the bathroom and wash your hands. So I'm like, damn, what's going on? These dudes seem different. You know what I'm saying? So I come out and they let me see the book of life, you know, and I go through it. None of that impressed me. But when they got to that, who is the original man, the Asiatic black man, and make it the owner of the cream of the planet, Earth, father, civilization, God, the universe, I'm like, yo, this is what I'm talking about. Because remember, during that time, everything that we learned in school, George Washington, Abraham, everything is white. You know what I'm saying? And I've never really been with going to church because I even had a thing about going to church and some white Jesus up there, blonde hair and blue eyes. So I always had a problem with all that. So I'm like, yo.
But you said something because a lot of people don't know. You said ex-con and you said who? Jolly who?
They was Jolly Stompers. And then they changed their name from Jolly Stompers to ex-cons.
Right. So what I'm saying to you is, like, again, a lot of people got to remember, a lot of people don't know, like, who, like, what was the Jolly Star? Like, I don't know that. I didn't know that, like, when you said that. Like, so what was they? They was way before.
Why all the people that's listening to this, because they get mad info, go back and look up that old movie called The Education of Sonny Carson. The ones that played in that, matter of fact, they gave Art Bart name was Champ at that time. You know what I'm saying?
Education of Sonny Carson, y'all.
Right. So they paid him $5,000 and he was one of the lead actors in that film. They actually had real gangbangers when they did the film, and the Lords, which was Sonny Carson in them, the activist Sonny Carson in them, they was the Lords. You know what I'm saying? Who was really the Jolly Stompers, you know? So, like I said, when them brothers changed over, they changed a lot. But just getting back to the story with my cousins in them, I thought that it was still some gang shit. And you know, back then, just like they made it later on, you used to go through the mill to become a gang member. You know, niggas lined up on both sides and whatever, you know, and you gotta go through them. So I'm 11 years old. I'm figuring, yo, if I gotta go through that to be down with this right here, because I'm looking at it like still it's a gang, because I'm coming out of that era. So I asked my cousin, yo, what I gotta do to be down? And he said to me, yo, you gotta go on a 7-day fast. All you could do is drink water and eat ice cream. And that's when I told him to get the F out my face. I'm not with that. You know, because I didn't have the discipline at that time. And you telling me at 11 years old, this is the only way I could get down. So it wasn't until I turned 14 years old and I went to summer. It was a summer school, but that was my youth summer program. You know,
So
I got paid to go to school.
when you was 11, was you eating like, you know, like worldly food? Like, was you eating like pork, or was you
Oh
even eating
yeah, hell yeah! I love the chitlin sandwiches, ham, all of that.
What's that?
You know
Chitlin
what I'm
sandwich.
saying?
Yeah, you old
Yeah.
school.
Now the deal was right before I got righteous, I had stopped eating pork because a Jamaican gangster that was in my hood. You know, I don't like bringing up homie name, but
Right. You got to.
he did a joint on two of the most fearful guys when he was growing up, and one of them name was Rasta T. And he went with this chick that lived in my building and everything. And Rasta T and them, they was, you know, they was like that once again, that revolutionary thing, because that's how the Shower and Spangler Posse and all of them started, from the governmental wars that they was having in their country. So when them niggas came over here, they changed the game. You know, the first cats in Brooklyn that changed the gun game was from out of Flatbush. They was called the Untouchables, the Touchies. You know, they was the ones to bring the 9mm. But anyway, what happened with me and Rasta T was we was out in the park drinking Old Gold, and he started talking to us, you know, on the revolutionary type thing. And those real Rastas back then, they didn't eat meat or nothing like that. So he's like, yo, you still eat swine style? And I'm like, yeah. So he sent the cat to the store to buy some bacon, and another dude to the store to buy some wine, you know. And he took the pork, like, you know, the little sand boxes that they have in the park, and it was like 80, 90 degrees out there. And he took the wine and he poured it on the pork, and he said, yo, just sit here. And we sat there for about 30 minutes, and then I seen maggots come out the pork, and I took off and ran upstairs and told my mom, I'm not eating pork no more. So I really stopped eating pork, like, you know, a couple of months or so before I even became righteous.
All right, y'all. But check this out. This has been a dope build. I appreciate the God born Shabu for coming up.
Appreciate y'all too, man. Good info, Shabu.
I appreciate it, man. That's what I'm saying. They just got to listen to the channel, man, because, you know, I just be coming up here giving it up real. We started out with the Pistol Pete thing, but, you know, all these things involved where individuals come out and they say certain things about prison or certain periods of times or what was going on. That
let me ask you a question real quick.
Hold on one second.
Let me ask you a question real quick. What you think about that shit that's going on with Doug Christie and Chris Webber?
I ain't really up to date on that one.
So basically, what it is that they was both homeboys, but best friends through the NBA. They played on the Sacramento Kings together. I guess he was close to he was close to the family with his wife and all them. Now, Doug Christie over the years had kids. His oldest kid looked a little bit different than the other ones. Somehow they
a lot different.
A lot different. Somehow somebody pulled out and said, hey, that ain't even your kid. That's Chris Webber's, your best friend's kid. So he ended up suing $2 million to her and $2 million to him. And they ran the DNA and they found out it was Chris Webber's daughter this whole time. But they've been best friends for almost 20 some years.
Is that by his wife, Jackie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And you know how she used to keep the hammer on him. He couldn't go nowhere or do nothing. He
Well,
sit on the bench with his head down because she ain't even want him looking at other women. That's crazy, man.
Right. Well, and that's the crazy part. Think about it. Even that my peoples was telling me, because I ain't never watched it, Love and Hip Hop. They said she used to be wilding out on there, snapping on people, and they used to tell him, hey man, about her. And he used to, because of course that's his wife.
That's basketball wives. That's basketball wives.
Yeah, and he was defending her. But now think about it, when he found out, but yeah, he sued him and Chris Webber, $2 million a piece.
And the daughter one had nothing to do with Chris Webber. She said he used to be, every time he came over, he'll be in the living room, he'd be crying all the time. Every time he seen her, she'd see him like tearing up.
Yeah, because he knew. And the mama knew. That's what's so cold. The mama even knew.
Tell
But
you,
let me ask you a question. Do you think they started out swinging at first? That's why all that stuff happened?
Yeah, that's a good question right there. Like I said again, being in that whole atmosphere, and I don't know. Like I said again, the question would be is like, I don't know, like how manly is this dude is. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's your homeboy. I mean, I guess it's real difficult because that's your homeboy. You would never think that. And then, but then on the second hand, that's your wife. And you would never think that for 20 some years, and she done played it off this long. That's crazy work.
Yeah, like 20. What's she like 28 now? The little girl,
Yeah.
like 28.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro.
Hey, all I'm gonna say, Cross and Bond. Don't y'all got strong genes as far as when it come to your kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my kids, you know what I'm saying? Not unless it's something different. I got 4 different baby mothers, and all my seeds, they all when they born come out with the same set of hair, ears, and everything. They may have different.
But now his other kids look just like him. That's what I'm saying. The other kids. So again, I don't know the age gap.
No disrespect. No disrespect.
Yeah,
He look
right.
like he got Down syndrome, and all his other kids, they light skin like him too, look like they got Down syndrome. They look slow in the face.
I just know that all of them look like him, but she looks a little differently. But then
she dark skinned. She dark skinned, but she look a lot different. She looked like she was called a timeout with no timeouts left in the championship, bro. Last 5 shit.
Crazy, man. Crazy what they do. But like they say, what's done in the dark will always come to the light.
Facts.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna end it on that, man. I appreciate everybody for coming out. This is the King of New Jersey's BTBTV. We got the Plug Podcast by Cross, and we got Shabu. You know what I'm saying? God in them streets. Y'all check out both of their channels, yo. And we're gonna do this again soon, man. There's ain't no Bloods, no Crips. We doing our own thing. BTBTV that started his own game, like nigga. What?
What?
Peace, my brothers.
Peace, brother.
Peace.